Good morning on Thursday, March 15th. It's episode 370 of the 359 podcast. I'm BVG, and your hosts today are Alfred and Roger.
Morning.
Morning, everybody. We got a pretty stacked plate today, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of trolls in the chat for this one.
More than usual, or?
Let's just say that the bait has been clicked.
Hey, is the music still on?
Yeah,
All right, just checking.
the music always plays.
All right, just
What do
you
we
throwing
got,
me
like
off,
a
dude?
complete cyber show today?
we do have a complete lots of cyber, lots and lots of cyber,
Careful.
cyber. Anyway, it's gonna be a fully stacked show all about security. We're gonna talk about Google making the case that its Android phones are just as secure as iPhones. We'll be talking about U.S. leveling sanctions against Russia for tampering with the elections with NotPetya and more. Alfred has all the details. We'll talk a little bit about Intel fixing or putting out its Spectre fix, and a look at why IoT still scares us. It's scary, right? Right? We should
Very
be afraid.
spooky. A lot of ghosts.
Yes.
Ghosts in the machine.
There we go.
Werewolf Bar mitzvah.
All right. As always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Brian will pick up the best, and we'll try to answer them in 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
From 3, 2...
Welcome to the 359. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Alfred Ng.
Today's all about security. First up, Google is out with a new security report and claims that Android is just as secure as the iPhone. It says that there are fewer cases of malware and flaws, and the phones are getting better security updates. Alfred, you're the expert here. Like, do you buy this?
I'm inclined to believe them on several parts of it, where they talk about how they've improved security in the App Store, so you won't be able to download something that actually has a virus from the official App Store.
Fair enough.
How they're retrofitting security. So the biggest criticism against Android security has always been that only 3% of their phones are on the latest update, and then the rest of it is kind of like you're on your own. So they've tried addressing that by only doing security updates, because otherwise, before, your security updates would come with latest patches. So
Right.
you would only get the latest security update if you got Android O or something
And
like
then
that.
that would have to go through crazy approvals with carriers, with handset makers. It's a long process.
So what they do now instead is send updates that are just security only, which is similar to what Apple does with iOS updates. So that I'm also inclined to believe them on. But there are some other issues that they didn't really point out or kind of deflected about. So one of the issues that I had, so when they're talking about we're getting better at app security, that's specifically only for the Google Play Store.
Right,
And there are entire markets out there that don't have access to that store and have to sideload apps.
China, for example, does not have Google Play, so there are tons of third-party app stores out there.
Yeah. And even if, they're getting these retrofitted security features, there are other ways for you to breach into an Android device, specifically through these apps or something like that. So I take them at their word for some of these points, but there are other points where I'm I know better about this and I don't really buy
Look,
it.
I will say they've done a good job of offering these security updates to more devices, although there are still plenty of millions of devices out there that probably don't get these updates as quickly as they should. All right, next up, the U.S. Treasury Department just leveled sanctions against several Russian entities and individuals. This is pertaining to the U.S. elections. This is NotPetya, even an electrical grid. Alfred, you have most of the details. What's going on here?
So they announced this about an hour ago. This is specifically about the election tampering. So some of the entities include the Internet Research Agency, which our special counsel Bob Mueller filed charges against in February, and also on the NotPetya attack, which they said the Russian military carried out. It was supposed to be the most destructive cyber attack in history. These are sanctions similar to sanctions that have been sent against Russia before, but these are specifically related to these cyber attacks that have been going on.
All right, so it's a big security day, as I said. Intel is out and says it has a fix for Spectre that's coming out with new chips, and that has basically patched up existing devices with software updates. The CEO is out with a blog post basically telling you to update your computer now. And Alfred, lastly, you wrote this piece sort of from the Kaspersky Security Summit. One of the big themes there was the fact that IoT continues to be a big security issue, and specifically older devices, right? So should we just be afraid all the time?
You should look at your older IoT devices differently. So, everyone talks about how they're improving IoT for the future. Politicians talk about these bills that they're putting out for things that we're going to buy soon, and security companies have all these new solutions for IoT devices and manufacturers in the future. Keyword being the future. The idea is that there are still about 8 billion IoT devices that are out now. And when I was at this conference, they were basically looking at older IoT devices that people have generally forgotten about. And it's like, oh, here's this vulnerability and here's this vulnerability. And then when I reach out to the companies about it, the idea is, oh, yeah, we can't really fix that. Or like, that's like so old that like we don't really focus on that anymore, which that is like the bigger problem here.
And that's 8 billion. That is a staggering number. All right, that's all the time we have for more of these stories. Check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Alfred Ng.
Thanks for listening.
Ah, yes, it's good. Vodka.
Everything.
I mean, sorry. Hey, BBG back here at 3:59. I'm not a Russian spy.
Awkward silence.
I was trying to Russianize your name, but I couldn't. I couldn't figure what it would be.
Brian Van Geldrisky.
BWG.
BVGski.
All right, so thanks everybody for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and start jumping through your comments and questions in the chat, pulling out some good stuff to keep the conversation going. In the meantime, you guys can talk amongst yourselves.
So, I mean, from the Kaspersky conference, I mean, what was the most, I guess, shocking or surprising hack that they uncovered?
Definitely the robot one.
Okay. Why?
So yes, only because of the response that I got from the companies when I reached out to them.
What was the response?
I reached out to some people that like wrote the software behind it, and they basically said, usually when you reach out to a company, like, oh, here are these security issues that we found. Are you fixing this or anything like that? They usually say we're working on a fix, blah blah blah. This response was basically, we built this without security in mind, right? So they admitted that they built it without security, and it was like the idea was it's not up to us to implement the security; it's up to the people that put this software in their robots. They basically said like
they kind of wipe their hands of this.
Yeah, their argument was like if a carpenter builds a home and then the person that like lives in that home doesn't use a lock on it, like how is the carpenter at fault here?
Whoa,
kind of thing.
Wow. I mean, you know what? It's shocking, but it's probably true for a lot of companies. They're probably not thinking about security in mind, and when they give you that sort of canned response of like we're working on it, security is a priority.
Yeah.
That's probably not the case. They're probably like with this company is thinking, we didn't think about this in the first place. Now we're scrambling.
Yeah. So but the thing is, they weren't scrambling though. They were just like, yeah, this wasn't. There was some weird line where it was just basically like, we didn't build security in it because we'd rather not like mess. It's worse to mess up security than it is to like try it at all or something like that.
So it's the idea that like they're so bad security, they were afraid that if they tried to add it, they would
mess up the whole robot system itself, which it's just like,
well, then maybe you should be making robots.
That is such a bad response. And the problem with the robot one too was that like this is a robot. It's Pepper, which like they show at CES all the time.
Of course.
Because it's like, oh, it's like cool and it can talk to you, and it's at malls, it's at like bars, all this stuff, airports, and it could be secure if it was on its own Wi-Fi network. But the thing is, because it's always in these public places, they're not going to set up like its own one just for that robot. So yeah, that was like the most surprising one to me. I also did see a smart cam one that used to be owned by Samsung.
Right.
They demonstrated that one in front of us, where it was like they had these two smart cameras that were both connected to the cloud, and then it was basically, okay, we're going to take footage from this camera and make you see it from like even though this camera that's like right in front of me.
Just like the movies.
What movies?
I don't know. You know when they switched the camera feeds during the security.
That did happen in Black Panther.
I mean, that happens in like every spy movie.
Yeah. So yeah, it was weird to see that like actually happen
in real life. Yeah. All right. Well, what questions do we got?
Let's start things off with the almighty, ever-present Srinjoy.
Srinjoy, the man.
Google has tightened its Play Store or malwares for sure, but why aren't they promoting the Android Privacy Guard, which is only open source and available mainly in custom ROMs?
That's a great question.
That's a good question. I don't know why they're not promoting that. They promoted it so little that I actually don't know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard of it, but I don't know much about it because, as Alfred just said, they don't talk about it too much.
They probably don't promote it that much because it's only available in custom ROMs. That doesn't sound like something that's coming through them.
Yeah. And also, I mean, is this...
If anything, they're probably trying to discourage from custom ROMs because that's like part of where malware comes from. And, you know, something like that where it calls itself... I need to know more about, like, Privacy Guard, but, like, that is how a lot of malware spreads through devices where they promote it as, like, this, like, antivirus kind of thing, and it turns out to actually be the virus. That was in my mobile security story that I wrote last week. So
This is the worst season of Black Mirror yet.
So there was a massive mobile malware campaign that hit like hundreds of thousands of phones across like 20 countries, and it did it by spoofing a Android apps for Signal and WhatsApp, which are supposed to be like secure communications apps. What they did was they would go to like these activist groups on Facebook and they'd post like, "Don't use Signal; it's been compromised. This is our updated secure version of it that you can't get from the App Store."
Wow.
And it got like thousands of people that way. So that's my point. Like something that promotes itself as being secure, if it's like, it can also be like malware.
All right, there you go.
I like Lakshmi's comment. Android is safe too if everyone stops downloading dumb stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
pretty much.
That's kind
Wouldn't
of
that
true.
be the beautiful utopia that we all deserve?
Well, no, I mean there's still flaws in Android that they're exploited. And to Google's defense, I think that has gotten a lot better.
Yeah, I would say this is for like their argument here is that we're just as safe if you like the comment said, like if you stop downloading stupid things, like if you just play by our rules completely and like don't try anything stupid, then yeah, we're like a pretty safe, and that's just like security hygiene, like 101. That's
right.
Like don't sideload apps or anything like that.
I mean, it's Android being less secure than iPhone is inherent because it's not a closed system like Apple. Apple doesn't have, or Google doesn't have full control of anything you could do with the phone and where you get your apps. And so
yeah, that's the thing with
thing.
iOS is that like they're not saying like, hey, please don't do anything dumb. It's like you can't do anything dumb with this. But I think what Google was trying to say, like, and with like this announcement, was more so that we have the same amount of 0 days as our competitors,
right?
In the sense that like there's no like massive like hack against it, like not related to apps or anything like that, like specifically 0 days, because like their biggest proof was we haven't paid out a large bug bounty in like years, and that's the idea, is that like no hackers have been able to like come to us with like these vulnerabilities or anything like that. My argument against that is, if it was really a vulnerability that was worth it, what makes you think that somebody's going to come to you and like, hey, we found,
as opposed to just exploit it.
Yeah,
right?
to be fair though, they pay a lot for it. That's the whole idea of bug bounty, is that we'll pay you more than what you would get for this if you used it criminally.
Back into the chat, coming in from Servan. Should I install any kind of antivirus app to make my Android more secure? And I think this is actually a good relevant question in lieu of these updated security measures. Or is it redundant?
I think if you have good hygiene about it, then you don't really have to worry that much. But I understand that, if you want an extra level of security, just to make sure, because you don't know like what everything is going on your phone is. Lookout has actually done a very good job at like preventing mobile malware attacks. I used to be very skeptical of it, but I've like dug through their research a lot, and I've spoken with their researchers. I spoke to them for that mobile malware story too.
Sure.
They scan your phone like regularly. They check for like man-in-the-middle attacks if you're on Wi-Fi, on like public Wi-Fi or anything like that. Yeah, Lookout has actually done a fairly decent job at it. I haven't looked into other like mobile security apps. Lookout is definitely up there though.
But as you said, like really the big thing is having good security practices.
Yeah.
Not downloading off of third-party apps, being mindful of what you download.
Yeah.
Being mindful of what permissions you give to specific apps, even for the apps that you download from Google Play.
I would equate it to like going to the dentist though, where like they would also tell you like, oh, if you just like practice good like dental hygiene, you don't need to worry about anything. But you would still go to your dentist to like check if there's anything you might not know about.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
I never would have thought about it like that. So I have to floss my phone now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, just like my biggest advice is always to like practice like the best, security hygiene that you can, like, but there are some things that you might not be able to see.
Right.
Here comes a question from Carl. What about Bluetooth vulnerability?
Ooh. Those are like weird.
Those are pretty rare, and the issue with that is that first of all, if you have Bluetooth on all the time, I don't know why you do.
I do.
I don't. That's more like, security aside, that's like a battery thing for me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I have it because I have my headphones on, and I just forget to turn them off.
Yeah.
It's not like I mean to have them on all the time. I just forget.
I also use my phone to remote control a lot of the stuff around here in the studio.
Well, okay, there's that then.
Yeah, but like there's been Bluetooth vulnerabilities like named in the past, but I always go back to the idea is like it's mostly targeted attacks in the sense
Right.
that
They have to be close to
they'd
it,
have to
right?
be in your Bluetooth range to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it. But there is an idea that they might not be targeting you because both of you now have told me you both like leave your Bluetooth on all the time. I assume
I'm turning them off now. Just
I
FYI.
assume the majority
Hackers.
of people do. So like if
I'm
I
in
were
here all day. What do I have to worry about?
yeah, but like think about like how many people would have their phones with Bluetooth on at like a Starbucks or something like that.
True.
And
Right,
I could
right.
like walk in and scan for like any like open like networks like
I'm not
there.
really doing anything interesting on my phone anyway.
Yeah.
True. Here comes a question from BVG in the room. So,
Wait, what? There's
I
another
straight up-
BVG here?
No, I looked at the screen.
I
to
know.
see what
I
the
was like,
question
where's
is.
BVG?
okay. Being a previous iPhone user and having recently jumped over to the Samsung train, what's up? And experiencing both the App Store and the Play Store in pretty thorough detail. And do you think there's ever a chance that Google will try to restrict the Play Store in the same fashion that iPhone has? That's one thing to say is the App Store is much more policed, let's call it,
I
as
would
far
say
as quality
They
of product.
should.
I think
They
Google-
100%
do
should.
you think that's a Pandora's box that might be going down a dangerous road that would start to be too exclusive for the Android ecosystem?
No.
No. I mean, it
how
works
many-
pretty well for the App Store.
I don't.
Also, Google they've stepped
Yeah.
up their
They have
policing of
stepped
the
up,
Play
but it's
Store.
still nowhere near as
No.
bare bones.
My
Yeah,
argument
proprietary.
against like this like whole open thing that Android does is just like how many apps do you really use anyway that you would need like this like open like network where millions of apps are flowing in like you really only use like what like 30 to 50 apps on your phone.
If that.
Yeah, and it's just like what do you need like all these apps for? I think it should be
I
a
think-
lot more
well, but
curated.
The idea,
if anything.
the thing of it is not everyone's not using the same 30 or 40 apps,
Yeah.
right? That's the issue. Is like there are people who are going to use this app that you will never touch, and that's the issue, right?
Yeah.
That's the selling point for Google is because it's open, it'll cater to your very very specific needs, right? Things like I don't know if you're a mountain climber, some sort of mountain climbing app. I'll never have a mountain climbing app on my phone, but someone's going to. A large number of people will. So.
Yeah, but like that app would be able to go through like right.
I'm
saying,
giving a
like,
fairly
yeah.
innocuous example, but I mean,
I'm
I
not saying
guess-
like don't ban like niche like don't allow like niche apps like that. I'm saying more like they should be like a lot more careful with like curating them.
yeah, for sure.
What's up to John Falcone out the window peeking in?
We really need to make a compilation of Falcone look-ins.
We should. I'll work on that supercut next week. I have 153 apps on my phone.
Yeah, how many do you actually use though?
All of them.
Really?
We don't.
With
You can't
all of
use
the
153
proprietary
apps.
devices, we have remote control cameras here at the studio. There's a lot of pizza places near my apartment.
That's one app though.
No, it's
No,
not.
they
You
each have their own
you have
apps?
multiple apps.
Not to get the coupons, man.
Oh wow, wow, dude.
Just putting that out there.
All right, there you go.
All right, let's shift gears over into cybersecurity. From Mike Shaw.
Shift gears. We've been talking. That's the whole show.
Well, I know, but let's talk about IoT.
Okay.
Sorry. Your cybersecurity is only as strong as its weakest link. If you have an IoT device on your network, you have an unlocked door. Alfred, you've gone down this path many times, and we've seen so many devices act as what I've mentioned before, a Pandora's box.
Yeah. I wouldn't throw all IoT devices in that hole. Certainly, like it's true that IoT devices are like very bad at security, but I think Amazon and Google have worked very hard to, make sure that like their home assistants don't really have that many breaches or anything like that.
It's really more like the smart home gadgets that you'd get like from third party vendors,
Yeah.
from like lesser known
the
third party vendors, the cheap ones, right?
The amazing deal that you got on that like smart light bulb,
$7 light bulb.
probably is not secure at all. And
Right.
yeah, he does have that point about, your security is about as strong as like your weakest link is.
Right.
It doesn't matter if like the rest of your house is like very
So
secure.
you've got Nest and you've got Amazon and everything here, and then you've got like this one Chinese made light bulb.
yeah, and
That's
like they
smart
can
light bulb.
most likely access your network through that.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a very good point.
It's a poison. What's the right analogy for it?
That's
It's
the
a-
weakest
the
link. in
weakest
the chain.
link.
That's
Yeah,
like
that's-
the best analogy you can make.
All right, fine. We are almost out of time. I'm trying to think of a good way to like bring this down and close it out. We've kind of
From this
tapped all the
grim
questions.
conversation.
Yeah, I mean, do you think, what's the right phrase I want to use on this?
Are we all screwed?
I've been on the show.
No.
I've been on the show like 3 days now, talking about like another security issue, and I think I've ended all of them with just like everything sucks. So
What is going to be the rhetorical event, theoretical event that would end up just crumbling the entire foundation of this?
I don't know, because it kind of already happened with the Mirai botnet attack in 2016
yeah.
when they shut down Netflix and Twitter and Spotify for like 2-3 hours, and these issues are still here. So I don't know what it's gonna take for a change or something like that. But yeah, everything sucks.
What do you guys do just on your day-to-day maintenance in your own IoT devices and cybersecurity? What is your own personal protocol for trying to keep yourself safe besides keeping your Bluetooth off?
I don't have
I don't
IoT objects. I have like
I mean,
Smart bulbs.
I'm the same way. I have like 2 smart switches that are fairly name brand. I won't say what they are. And then I've got 2 Echoes, and that's pretty much it.
I pretty
And
much
then
only have voice assistants.
You guys don't have that
I don't have everything tricked out.
$8,000 fridge in your home?
No. God,
I have the fridge my landlord gave me,
Yeah.
and will give me if this one breaks.
I bought my own fridge. It's a nice fridge. It's not smart at all. It's completely dumb.
Oh yeah,
it does dispense water and ice, which was huge for me living in Manhattan apartments with small fridges. That was a big perk. But like the whole idea of it being smart and connected and be able to like send me recipes, I didn't care about that stuff. And then the vulnerability issue was definitely in my mind when I thought about refrigerators, thought about appliances in general.
So make sure to brush your smart speaker, floss your phone daily, and always wipe front to back. That is good cyber hygiene.
Wipe the data.
Wipe the data front to
back. There you go.
Okay, that's the end of the show for today. The end of the show for the week.
Wow. It just flew by.
Quick week.
I know.
That's good and bad.
From breaking news every morning.
Yeah,
has
I was
been.
exhausted. Let's hope nothing.
Not even supposed to be on right now.
What are you, Dante from Clerks?
All right. You liked anything you saw or heard here? Check us out on CNET. Our podcast is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Feedburner, Google Play Music, and the Amazon Echo. See y'all next week.
Take care, everyone. See you Monday.